Throughout history, certain individuals have risen above oppression, discrimination, and unimaginable struggles to inspire generations. Their courage and vision didn't just change the lives of millions, they reshaped the world as we know it. In today's video, we're counting down the top 10 most influential Black leaders in history, figures whose legacies of justice, equality, and strength continue to echo across time. At number 10, we begin with the remarkable Harriet Tubman, a woman who turned her own escape from slavery into a mission to free hundreds of others. Born into bondage in Maryland during the early 1820s, Tubman endured brutal conditions and unimaginable hardship. Yet her spirit remained unbroken. After securing her own freedom, she risked everything by returning, time and time again, to lead enslaved men, women, and children to safety through what became known as the Underground Railroad. Imagine the courage it took, a single woman, navigating darkness, evading capture, guided only by the stars and sheer determination. Tubman wasn't just freeing bodies, she was freeing souls, and in doing so, she became a living symbol of resistance. Today, she stands as one of the most celebrated freedom fighters in American history, reminding us that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else is more important. Coming in at number 9, we have the brilliant W.E.B. Du Bois, a man whose mind was as sharp as his determination to uplift his people. Born in 1868, Du Bois shattered barriers by becoming the first African American to earn a doctorate from Harvard and later went on to study in Europe at the University of Berlin. But his influence wasn't just academic. As a co-founder of the NAACP, Du Bois became a tireless advocate for civil rights, equality, and education. He believed deeply that knowledge and leadership could dismantle racism, and his writings gave a powerful voice to generations silenced by oppression. Du Bois showed the world that Black excellence was not just possible, it was unstoppable, and his vision for a more equal society still resonates today. At number 8, we meet Marcus Garvey, a man who dared to dream on a global scale. Born in Jamaica in 1887, Garvey rose to prominence as a fiery leader, speaker, and visionary who ignited the Pan-African movement. He believed that people of African descent everywhere, whether in the Americas, the Caribbean, or Africa itself, shared a destiny, and that destiny was independence, pride, and unity. Through his organization, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, Garvey built schools, businesses, and even launched plans for a Black-owned shipping line. Though his ambitions sometimes faced setbacks, his influence was undeniable. Garvey gave millions the belief that Black identity was something to be proud of, not hidden. He inspired leaders long after his time, from Malcolm X to Nelson Mandela. Garvey's message was clear. No matter where you come from, your heritage is a crown you should never take off. At number 7, we honor Rosa Parks, the quiet seamstress whose single act of defiance ignited the movement. On December 1, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama, Parks refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger. It was a simple decision, but in the context of brutal segregation, it was revolutionary. Her arrest sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a 381-day struggle that drew national attention and eventually led to the Supreme Court ruling that bus segregation was unconstitutional. Parks showed that sometimes it is the smallest actions, sitting still, holding firm, that can shake the foundations of injustice. She became known as the mother of the civil rights movement, a woman who proved that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply refuses to move. At number 6 is Malcolm X, a man whose fiery voice still echoes in the fight for justice. Born Malcolm Little in 1925, his early life was marked by hardship and crime. But behind bars, he found faith, discipline, and purpose through the teachings of the Nation of Islam. Emerging as one of the most powerful orators of the 20th century, Malcolm X demanded dignity, respect, and self-defense in a society that had long denied black people equality. Unlike the nonviolent strategies of others, his uncompromising stance challenged America to confront its deep-rooted racism head-on. Though his life was cut tragically short at just 39, Malcolm's legacy lives on in the generations who embraced black pride, identity, and the courage to speak truth to power. He reminded the world that silence in the face of injustice is never an option. At number 5, we cross the ocean to South Africa, where Nelson Mandela became a global symbol of resilience and reconciliation. Born in 1918, Mandela devoted his life to dismantling apartheid, a cruel system of racial segregation enforced by law. For his activism, he endured 27 years in prison, much of it in harsh isolation. Yet, instead of breaking him, those years forged his spirit. Upon his release in 1990, Mandela chose not revenge, but reconciliation, guiding South Africa toward democracy and becoming its first black president in 1994. Mandela's leadership proved that forgiveness is not weakness, but the ultimate strength. His journey from prisoner to president is a testament to the power of hope, and his story continues to inspire struggles for justice all over the world. At number 4, we turn to Frederick Douglass, a man who transformed himself from enslaved laborer to one of the greatest voices for freedom in history. Born into slavery in Maryland in 1818, Douglass secretly taught himself to read and write, understanding that literacy was the key to liberation. After a daring escape, he rose to prominence as an abolitionist, author, and advisor to U.S. presidents. Douglass's speeches electrified audiences, exposing the brutal realities of slavery while arguing for the humanity and equality of all people. His famous autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, became a cornerstone in the fight against slavery. Douglass taught the world that words could be weapons, and that truth, spoken with conviction, has the power to topple the mightiest of chains. At number 3 is Muhammad Ali, not only a champion in the boxing ring, but a champion for justice. Born Cassius Clay in 1942, he shook the world with his dazzling footwork, lightning speed, and unmatched charisma. But Ali's impact reached far beyond sports. When drafted to fight in the Vietnam War, he famously refused, declaring that he would not fight a war for a country that still denied him and his people equality. For that stance, he was stripped of his title and banned from boxing at the peak of his career. Yet Ali never wavered. His courage to sacrifice fame and fortune for principle turned him into a global icon of resistance, faith, and dignity. He wasn't just the greatest in the ring. He was a fighter for human rights, whose legacy transcends boxing and continues to inspire millions today. At number 2, we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the dreamer whose words still stir hearts across the globe. Born in Atlanta in 1929, King rose to prominence as the face of the civil rights movement through his philosophy of nonviolent resistance. His leadership during the Montgomery bus boycott, his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech in Washington, and his tireless campaigns for voting rights and economic justice made him a symbol of hope for millions. King believed that love, not hate, was the most powerful weapon against injustice. Though his life was tragically cut short in 1968, his dream continues to guide the fight for equality. King reminded us all that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And finally, at number 1, we celebrate Barack Obama, the man who made history as the first black president of the United States. Born to a Kenyan father and an American mother, Obama embodied a bridge between worlds. His message of hope and change resonated across the globe, inspiring millions who had once thought such a milestone impossible. From passing the Affordable Care Act to championing renewable energy and diplomacy, Obama's presidency redefined what leadership looked like in America. But beyond policies and politics, his presence alone shattered centuries of barriers and became a beacon for future generations. Obama's story is proof that no dream is too distant and no barrier too high when hope is stronger than fear. His journey stands as a reminder that progress is possible and that history, when written with courage, can inspire the future. From warriors of justice to visionaries of peace, these leaders remind us that change is possible, even in the face of impossible odds. Their lives echo across history, urging us to fight for equality, to embrace courage, and to never give up on freedom. Which of these leaders inspires you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories on the Influence Files.